Hello and welcome to SaskTel Center in Saskatoon as we get set for the opening night of action in the Canadian Elite Basketball League. I'm Ryan Flaherty, and this is Rattlers Tip-Off presented by ICTS Live, streaming to you on the Rattlers Facebook page and YouTube channels. Please like and share the link with all your friends. Get them to tune in. We're going to have all the latest news and info for you to get set for tonight's season opener for the Saskatchewan Rattlers as they take on the Niagara River Lions. So exciting to be with you this season, with this show and with this season, because it's been a long time coming, and this is the first full 20-game season for the CEBL since the inaugural year in 2019, when, of course, the Rattlers hoisted the inaugural championship trophy. But it's been a tough go since then with a couple of one-win seasons, but they're in full rebuild mode as they enter 2022 with an exciting roster complemented with a few returning familiar faces. It should make for some high-octane basketball and exciting action here all season long. Niagara River Lions are the first of 10 games here at SaskTel Center this season, and Niagara will be the only team to visit Saskatoon twice during the regular season. Of course, the Rattlers are going to continue on with Fraser Valley coming in here next Wednesday. Then it's the first of 3 expansion teams visiting the Bridge City as the Scarborough Shooting Stars come to town on June 15th. The Edmonton Stingers, the 2-time defending champs, will come to town for their lone visit on June 17th. And then the second expansion team to come to town, the Montreal Alliance, will be here on June 26th. In the back half of the home schedule, 5 more opponents will be coming to town, and that starts off with the third expansion franchise, the Newfoundland Growlers, based in St. John's on the Rock. It's now truly a coast-to-coast league. And then Niagara will be back here July 1st for a Canada Day tilt. Hamilton Honey Badgers are here July 12th. The Ottawa Blackjacks on the 14th, and wrapping up the home schedule, the Guelph Nighthawks will be here on July 21st. But of course, right now, it's all about tonight. It's all about Game 1, and the Rattlers looking to get off to a great start after, again, a tough season last year, 1-13, and they did not win at home. Their one win came on the road. They actually haven't won here in home court since that championship victory in 2019. So they're looking to give the home fans something to cheer about. And as I mentioned, a whole new team with just a few familiar faces sprinkled in. So let's tell you first about those returning players who are with the Rattlers this season. There are 3 of them. Devontae Bandu leads the way. He was the Rattlers' leading scorer last season, averaging 17.4 points per game. That was top 5 in the entire CEBL. That was his first year as a pro. He's now gone off, played a year in the G League, and he's back for year 2. And part of the reason he came back was he liked some of the other players that were coming to be assembled around him. The other returning faces, DeAndre Bernard, who was a good presence in the paint for the Rattlers last season. He's back for his second year in the Snake Pit. And Lawrence Moore rounds out the returning player group. He actually was with the Rattlers on their 2019 championship team. He's been on the roster since then, dealing with injuries. He suffered an injury in training camp last year, but he's healthy and ready to go and excited to get back on the court with the green and wheat. Now, I mentioned a whole bunch of new players and a lot of professional experience coming into the fold this season. I just want to introduce you to 3 of them, starting off with Scotty Lindsay, who is from the Chicago, Illinois area, and he's come in. He's from Northwestern University, a 6'6" guard from Hillside, Illinois to be exact. 3 years in the G League, most recently with the Windy City Bulls in his native Chicago. He also played for the Erie Bayhawks as well. 96 games of professional experience, which also includes some time in Portugal. And he's looking to be part of this group that leads the Rattlers to victory. Tony Carr, another guy with plenty of professional and NCAA Div 1 experience. He played at Penn State, 6'5" guard from Philadelphia. And then there's the big man, Jordy Shimanga, 6'11" center from Montreal. 42 games played in the G League with the Cleveland Charge and Iowa Wolves this past season, the bulk of those with Iowa, and he'll be looking to be a big presence in the paint for the Rattlers this season. There's plenty more faces that fans are going to get to know and love over the course of this season. Those are just a few of them, and we'll tell you about more of them as we go throughout the season. But right now, we're going to take a quick break, and we're going to be back with the architect of this year's roster, Rattlers GM Barry Rawlick, joining us in half a minute.
Is it time to take your event online? Bring it to IKS Live. We've got a fully customized virtual event platform with remote guest support for your next fundraiser, talk show, conference, performance, and more. IKS Live offers live streaming,
the sun. Smoky in the air, that's a lot of pine. Big time, big time, big time, big time.
And pleased to be joined now by the man who put this roster together, General Manager Barry Rawlick. And I understand it was a bit of a team effort this year, and we'll get into that in a moment. But first of all, Barry, we're here. It's a full season again. It's been a long haul, I know, for the last couple of years. But just what's your level of excitement now coming into 2022?
Well, extremely excited and filled with optimism. We think we've got a roster that's stocked with a lot of talent. It's just a question of how well we're going to put it together.
What was your approach coming to the season? Obviously, folks know the record last year. It was a tough year, 1-13, so you're kind of in rebuild mode here. So what was your philosophy in putting this team together this season?
Well, you're absolutely right. I mean, we know that we have to be a lot better, and there were a couple of pieces that we brought back from last year's team we thought that were essential. One of them being Devontae Bandu, who proved himself to be one of the most dangerous scorers in the league last year. And he was very excited to come back and sign with us when he saw the staff we had. And for the opportunity for him to come back to this city, the fans here, and certainly the coaching staff we put together.
Now, I mentioned a moment ago, it wasn't just you bringing these players in. You kind of leaned on some of the coaches as well. Just tell me a bit about how it was sort of an all hands on deck approach to getting this team built.
Well, I identified most of the players, but certainly wanted to vet them through the coaching staff, and we had a lot of discussions with Dean about the type of player that he wanted, and that kind of guided my search somewhat in terms of the type of players that we were considering signing. And Tanner Massey, our lead assistant, was obviously part of the process as well, pretty heavily, because some of his connections in the G League and our ability to vet some of those players and find out some things about them. And so it was a collaborative process that way, and they certainly provided me some direction in terms of being able to sign some of these guys.
You mentioned his name, and that's where I wanted to go next. You have a new head coach as well in Dean Demopoulos. You went from a couple of head coaches who were short on professional coaching experience to someone who's been coaching for almost 40 years, both at the collegiate and at the professional level. What is it about Dean Demopoulos that you like so much that made you want to bring him on board as the new head coach?
Well, there's a couple things. The first thing you mentioned, obviously, is his extensive resume in terms of his experience with working levels with players at the professional level was important to us. I mean, the second criteria for me was obviously we had to have a guy with some expertise, and over the years he's obviously gathered a lot of knowledge of the game, and I know in my discussions with him I've been very impressed with the depth of knowledge that he brings to it. But I think I think one of the primary things that I think is going to be a real difference maker for us is just his persona, his personality, the way he's able to project himself, and he's immediately been able to grab the respect of the players, not only on the court in terms of what he's asked them to do, but in the locker room. And his presence commands a certain respect that I think is vital to the success of the team.
We talked about the roster and the players that are coming in. I mean, it's quite remarkable to see the talent depth grow since the first year, where you had one player who had G League experience, and now you have an entire starting rotation potentially that has played in the G League. Just can you touch on just how far the talent level has come just in year 4 now for this league?
Yeah, well, obviously it's reflected in our roster, but it's reflected across the league. There's been an exponential growth in talent, and I mean the word has gotten out there. Some of the players that were formerly, in past years have played in the G League go back and they talk to their teammates, and the word gets around. And I know the crew that we have in this year, they've all come in and they just kind of been all put back on their heels. Like they're like, wow, this is a beautiful city. They look at the facility that we have to train in. They see the sort of recovery and the sport med services that we have here, and then obviously the coaching staff and the arena here itself. And so it's a combination of all those things. They're kind of like, wow, this is big time. So that's good, and I'm sure it's going to continue on that trend. They're going to go back in another year, and I know a number they're going to want to come back. I'm pretty sure of that. the word's going to spread further. So, there's just been exponential growth of the talent across the league.
So you got the pieces in place, the excitement level's there. Now it's about execution. You said now it's the time to see how these guys play together. What's going to be the key to success for this team in 2022?
Well, I think there's going to be a growth process that happens here. This is game one, and as they become more familiar with each other, I think that's important. As it is with any team, it's important that guys kind of figure out what their roles are and settle into their roles and be comfortable in that. Because, everybody's, we've got some significant talent here, and they've all got to sort of give up something in order for the group to be successful. So, it's a question of us being able to just be able to do that.
Well, Barry, it's going to be fun to watch the process play out here this season. Great to have fans back in from day one, and very excited to see what this team can do on the floor. Good luck this season. Thanks for being here.
Fantastic. Thank you. Appreciate your coverage, and I hope you enjoy the game tonight and going forward throughout the season. Look forward to seeing you. Right
on. It's going to be a lot of fun. All right, that is Barry Rawlik, General Manager of the Saskatchewan Rattlers, and of course, this team will be tipping off in just a little under an hour's time against the Niagara River Lions. Let's talk now about a little bit more about head coach Dean Demopoulos, the new head coach on this staff. As I mentioned, nearly 4 decades of coaching experience, and he started out as an assistant coach at Temple University. He spent 17 years there under Hall of Fame head coach John Chaney. In those 17 years, the Temple Owls made 16 trips to the NCAA tournament, and 4 times they made it as far as the Elite Eight. That is a remarkable run, and everyone on the staff deserves credit for that. So that was where he got his start. And then, after 1 year at the University of Missouri, Kansas City, Demopoulos made the move to the pro ranks. In 2001, he joined the staff of Nate McMillan with the Seattle Supersonics. He was there for 5 years, then moved on to Portland with Coach McMillan, and also had a stop with the LA Clippers. He's since been a head coach in Australia in their National Basketball League, and then most recently in the NBA G League. So a wealth of experience, a really interesting personality, as Barry Rawlik touched on. I had a chance to chat with him a couple of days ago. A little bit of Das Eckes-man vibes and things like that. So going to be really interesting to get to know him over the course of the season. Let's quickly talk very briefly about tonight's matchup, and then we'll have one of the Rattlers players joining us in moments. So quickly, it is a matchup between the Rattlers and the River Lions tonight. It is 2 teams that went in opposite directions last season. Niagara was 10-4. They made it as far as the championship game before falling to the Edmonton Stingers. The Rattlers 1-13, so they're looking to rebound this season. Niagara's owned the head-to-head matchup 6-1, and they've never lost here in Saskatoon. Rattlers looking to turn that around tonight as well. But the Rattlers do have one held over the River Lions, and that is they have a championship. The River Lions still seeking their first. That is the matchup tonight, and we'll have lots more coming up. A quick break, and then on the other side, one of the newest Rattlers, Scotty Lindsay, will join me after this break. You're watching Rattlers Tip-Off presented by ICTS Live.
Lot of sun, smoky in the air, that's a lot of pine. Big time, big time, big time, big time.
Is it time to take your event online? Bring it to IKS Live. We've got a fully customized virtual event platform with remote guest support for your next fundraiser, talk show, conference, performance, and more. IKS Live offers live streaming to Facebook Live and YouTube and pre-recorded capabilities, both in our studio with green screen available and on location with pre-production and post-production services. Visit us at ikslive.ca.
Welcome back to SaskTel Center. This is Rattlers Tip-Off presented by IKS Live. I'm Ryan Flaherty, and this is the beauty of a live show. I did mention we were hoping to have Scotty Lindsay join us, but there's a little pregame meeting going. Of course, that's far more important than him talking to this guy right here. So instead, we got the head honcho. That's not a bad fill-in. Vice President Brad Kraft. Crafty, we've known each other for a few years now. Safe to say this might be the most excited you've been since year one?
It really is, honestly. Having seen the team come together from day one and just, have my little bits of vision come through and here now tonight is just very exciting to see in real life, you know?
Now, obviously, you've got the basketball people making the basketball decisions, but, I mean, from your perspective and watching this team prepare in camp the last week and a bit, you know, is there a couple guys that you're really excited to see perform?
Well, I'm really excited to see Scotty Lindsay, honestly. But Tony Carr, Scotty, you know, Lawrence Moore, they're all going to be great. Malik Benlevy is awesome. And then we got some nice big men, too, this year. So.
I was talking with Barry Rollick a few minutes ago just about the growth and the talent, just the overall depth of talent in this league since year one. What is it like now recruiting guys, like in year 4? You know, has the pitch changed, or do you have guys seeking you out now to try?
Yeah, a little bit of both, actually. So, like, we've always had guys reach out to us, but the talent and the you know, the realistic ability of them to make the team has significantly become more alive. So, like, for example, this year, Kamel Archer, who is on the team, he reached out to me through LinkedIn, and it's just like, hey, I play. This is where I'm at. And I said, get in touch with our GM, and then, you know, all things led to good roads.
And that's got to be, there's got to be sort of a ripple effect there too. Especially when you got these guys, these G leaguers especially. Now the word of mouth is spreading, and this has become a legitimate off-season destination, essentially, if you will, for a lot of these guys.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's I mean, it's great ball. We're right north of America, so it's really easy for them to go back down if they need to play in summer league. But more importantly, we're getting a lot of eyeballs from the NBA and other leagues around the world. So it's a good time for them.
All right, that's on the court. Of course, it's not just about the game. It's a whole experience. Fans coming in here. Of course, it's fan appreciation night. I'm sure showing love for the fans who have stuck it out through a couple of lean years and a couple of years where they didn't really get many opportunities to watch the team in person. Yeah. So just maybe give us a sense of some of the things that you maybe have in store this season for the fans.
Yeah, well, I mean, tonight we got live snakes on the concourse. I saw them slithering around, and so that's kind of cool. We got a kids zone over here on the floor. We got a campsite. And everything is fully interactive this year, so kids and families and anybody, honestly, in the building can come and go kind of wherever they need to see and do whatever they like. And tonight we're going to give out a pile of stuff, no different than years past. And we're going to have some fun, and honestly, we're going to win a game. So.
Hey, I mean, it's been since the 2019 championship game that you guys have been able to do that on home court for the fans here. But just, what is the level of excitement just overall about having a full season and having fans in the building for the whole time?
Yeah, I think we've heard a lot of buzz in the community lately, especially thanks for all the community support. Thanks for always being here, and that's great to see. And now, now we're kind of leaning on those fans and those friends of ours from the last 2 years to really come out and make it as exciting as we think it is.
All right, well, you know what? I'm excited. You're excited. I think we're all ready for this one to tip off. And thanks a lot for stepping in and being my all-time substitute. I think this is the third or fourth time you've done this for me. So thanks a lot, Crafty. Have fun tonight. Enjoy it. I hope you get a chance to put your feet up a little bit and just enjoy the fruits of your labors.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
All right, that is Vice President of the Rattlers, Brad Kraft. And we'll look forward to chatting with him throughout the season, of course. But now let's talk a little bit about that growth. I mean, the CEBL, we've touched on it a couple times already here tonight. There's 3 new expansion teams, and that means more jobs for more players and a whole bunch of different things. So let's break down the numbers for you. But first, here are those 3 new teams. I mentioned it earlier. The Scarborough Shooting Stars, they made a splash in the last few days with a couple of high-profile player signings, making big news there. They're going to be in town June 15th. So I'm sure there's going to be people lining up for tickets for that one. Montreal Alliance are in as well. Of course, Montreal, a great basketball market. And we've got the Maritimes in the fold now as well with the Newfoundland Growlers out in St. John's. Patrick Ewing Jr. Coaching that team this season. Should be really fun to see all 3 of those teams come through, as all of the other 9 teams in the league will make their way to Saskatoon at some point this season. Now, as far as the depth of talent, I got some numbers I want to throw at you. In terms of the talent in this league right now. 118 Canadian players on training camp rosters this season. That's 71% of the players. 32 of those players have Canadian national team experience, so that's a huge thing as well. 93 of the league's players have professional experience. 37 of those have played in the G League, 6 in the NBA. In fact, last season, 5 players from the CEBL signed NBA contracts, including, I believe, 3 who signed 2-way deals after their initial 10-day contracts. They made that much of an impression, including the reigning most valuable player, Xavier Moon, who got on with the Los Angeles Clippers, and Lindell Wigington, who joined the Milwaukee Bucks. So it's just an impressive depth of talent from coast to coast, from team to team, and that has just brought the skill level and the the overall action level up in this league, making for a great product on the court. All right, now, I talked about it briefly with Brad Kraft. There's going to be promotions going on throughout the season, and one of those is going to be the next home game. Next Wednesday, June 1st, it's going to be Pride Night here at SaskTel Center. That will be kicking off Pride Month, of course, and that will be co-presented by Out Saskatoon and the YXE Drag Collective. And the YXE Drag Collective will actually be performing at halftime. Of course, it's all in support and celebration of the LGBTQ plus community. So that's a great one to get going early in the season. Pride Night, lots of rainbows will be in the stands, I'm sure, and great to see that one, and the Rattlers supporting that as well. So that is going to be the promotion next week. Of course, it's Fan Appreciation Night here tonight. So that's just a couple things to look forward to. We're going to take a quick break, I believe. No, in fact, we're going to get to the keys of the game first. It's live. We're going to keep her rolling here. Then we'll have another guest in just a moment. But yes, let's look at the keys to the game first of all tonight for the Saskatchewan Rattlers. You heard Gary Rawlick talking about chemistry and guys playing together. That's massive. The season's only 20 games long, at least longer than last year. But camp is short, and the season is pretty short as well. So chemistry is critical to success, and I can tell you from watching practice this week, it seems like this team already has built some pretty good chemistry. They seem to really enjoy being around each other, celebrating each other's accomplishments, and a little friendly ribbing on some of the bloopers as well. So that's all great for building team cohesion. Moving the ball quickly is going to be key for this offense as well. They want to get that ball moving around the court and try to beat the defense to their spots. And that's always a fundamental key for any team. And finally, home sweet home. It's a home game. Use the crowd to your advantage, but control those emotions. Sometimes teams can come out a little tighter, a little nervous playing in front of the home crowd, and it's been a while since this team has won in front of their home fans. So if they can channel that energy and use the crowd to their advantage tonight, that could be a big edge for the Saskatchewan Rattlers. All right, now time for one final break, and then we'll have another guest joining us in a moment. Stick around. You're watching Rattlers Tip-Off presented by IKS Live.
Is it time to take your event online? Bring it to IKS Live. We've got a fully customized virtual event platform with remote guest support for your next fundraiser, talk show, conference, performance, and more. IKS Live offers live streaming to Facebook Live and YouTube and pre-recorded capabilities, both in our studio with green screen available and on
Smoky in the air, that's a lot of pine. Big time, big time, big time, big time.
Way, like somehow between.
Welcome back to Rattlers Tip-Off presented by IKS Live. Ryan Flaherty here with you, and you know what? You got to roll with the punches when you're doing a live show, and sometimes you have plans and they go a little bit awry. Unfortunately, the Rattlers are still in their pregame meeting, so we were hoping to have Devontae Bandu come on now. Unfortunately, he's preoccupied, but once again, to the rescue, another member of the Rattlers crew, and this is another guy who's been here since day one. It's DJ Charlie Hustle.
Hey.
He's on the ones and twos. He's keeping things going, keeping the crowd engaged throughout the night. Just, how do you see your role, I guess, with this team? What's your kind of philosophy in this gig?
Sort of how we do like the dance team and Swish. I'm one of the people that just helps the crowd help the team. We're part of the let's keep it going, because honestly, home team actually does it builds the team up a little bit.
It's fun. It's a different experience for people who maybe haven't been to a basketball game before with the music pumping and things like that.
Yeah.
Is that do you see people kind of, maybe it's their first game and they're like, why isn't this guy stopping?
Certainly the first year, 2019, there were certainly some looks. But Mike Moriali, lovely commissioner, was like, don't worry. This is what we want to do. We want to condition them. And so honestly, people walk in and they're like, this is normal now.
I've talked to the players, to the coaches, to the management about just the excitement about being back. I mean, last year, the tail end of the season, we were able to get some fans in here as well, but this is, the first time since year one we've had a full schedule, fans. Just what's your hype level, I guess, coming into this after what's been a couple of long years?
First off, I'm super excited. It is obviously great to have full crew, everybody here, everybody working. Fans are, one of the biggest parts of the game. You can play basketball and that's fine, but you can play basketball at home. This is with the crowd. It really is a different scene. It's a different feeling with the crowd. So it is quite exciting.
All right, so I need your sort of top 2 or 3 hype tracks. Like, what are the must plays? Have you found you get a better response out of the team or the crowd? Is there anything that your go-to in a crunch time? When the team needs a rally.
I'll give you this. It's very dependent on the situation. You can't just say this one song is going to work in this exact situation. It is my job to sort of see how the game is going and how the players are feeling, and kind of get a pulse of the crowd and the players and the game. So that's why it's a real bing bang boom, ping pang, boom 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 boom, right? It's real quick.
I like it. I mean, that carries over from when you're doing parties or whatever too, right? You're
exactly
reading the crowd, reading the vibe, all that stuff. Well, fantastic. Thank you for stepping in. I mean, you're going to be part of the entertainment tonight. Of course, we've got Alex Bent and the Emptiness as well, halftime performance. So great musical entertainment from DJ Charlie Hustle, Alex Bent and the Emptiness. It's going to be a great vibe here. If you're still on the fence about coming down to SaskTel Center tonight, you still have time. Tip off at 7:30. Thanks for stepping in and doing this on the fly, my man.
Appreciate it.
All right,
Cheers.
That is DJ Charlie Hustle. He'll be here all season long, putting those tunes on and making everyone get excited for the Rattlers. So, as we move on here, it's a live show. We're going to keep it going. Now, one thing that the league has now been doing for a couple of seasons, but because, fans have not necessarily been able to watch the games in person for the last couple of years, at least very much, is there's fans still getting to know the way that the games finish here in the CEBL. It's called the Elam ending, and it's a little bit different. In fact, it's a lot different from how you would typically finish off a basketball game. Here are the basic points of the Elam ending. The first stoppage in play with under 4 minutes left in the game, the clock will be turned off. At that point, they'll take the team that is leading and add 9 points to their score, and that is now the target score. And the first team to hit that score wins the game. So you're guaranteed for every game to finish on a made basket. This was an ending that was created a few years ago by a basketball player and a coach who was frustrated with the way that games ended too slowly. The team that was trailing got into the fouling game. All they would do was foul to try to slow the game down. And the team that was leading would try to slow the pace down and maybe stretch out possessions. It just kind of sucked the air out of the end of the game at times. So he came up with this concept. And you know what? It's been met with initially some skepticism, but I think over the last couple of years, the enthusiasm for it and the receptiveness for it has really grown by leaps and bounds. I was speaking with the Rattlers' Scotty Lindsay in camp earlier this week. I asked him if he'd ever played with the Elam ending before. He said no, but he's really looking forward to it. He thought it had a lot of excitement. If you've seen the NBA All-Star game the last couple of years, you've seen the Elam ending. And if you're in the stands, there are big signs that will have the target score posted so that everyone can follow along. And it does lend itself to some dramatic comebacks as well as everyone watches for the team to hit that target score. So that should be a lot of fun to see how this game goes down to the wire and who hits that target score for that first win of the season. And that pretty much wraps us up for our first edition of Rattlers Tip-Off here on presented by ICTS Live. We're going to be coming to you every home game for half an hour, starting 1 hour before tip-off. So please do join me every home game, and we'll have the latest to get you up to speed on the night's game that is upcoming. So get set, get into your seats, settle in with some snacks, maybe a beverage or two, and get ready for some great CEBL action, part of a triple header tonight to tip off the 2022 season. And of course, you can always get in touch with the Rattlers by checking out their social media feeds. Everything that's happening with the Rattlers you can find out on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter. All the news you need will be there, and there are the handles. That is how you can check out what is going on in the Snake Pit and around the Rattlers universe and the CEBL. That will do it for this first edition of Rattlers Tip-Off. Thank you so much for being here. And now get set at 7:30. We'll be getting ready for the Saskatchewan Rattlers and Niagara River Lions. Hope you enjoy the show. Thanks so much for watching. We'll catch you next week.